Patience with a young quarterback like that when obviously the outside noise doesn't have the same type of patience.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we can't control what happens outside this building. And so that's never been a part of our concern, our worry. Anything we talk about as a unit kind of stays within the walls of the building, particularly our own meeting room as well as an offense. And the last 2 weeks we haven't played to the standard we've set for ourselves as an offense. That's Trevor as well as a lot of other people, coaches included. We're included in that. We have not, we have not met that standard that we've set for ourselves, and that's why we've come up short as an offense the last 2 weeks. So we all take responsibility for that. There's throws, there's decisions Trevor wants back, just like there's decisions a lot of guys want back, play calls we want back, play designs we want back, suggestions, all that type of stuff. So, we're all in this thing together.
As a follow-up to that, it doesn't seem to have in any way diminished the belief in the locker room, and I'm sure within the walls of the coaching offices, in Trevor becoming,
absolutely
living up to the expectation of where he was taken.
Absolutely not. That's 2 games in a 17-game season that he hasn't, like I said, in the offense has not performed the way we expect to perform, and we're all in it together. So it's not Trevor alone struggled; it's we all struggled as a unit. Anytime your defense holds somebody to 13 points and you can't score enough to win, you take a lot of responsibility and ownership of that, and that's what everybody's done. That's been the good part about struggling right there is there's everybody's taking accountability for what we did, and we're working to be better this week.
Yesterday, Travis said that he always feels like he's that one step away, that one missed tackle away from breaking off a big one. Just what have you seen from his progress in the first 5 weeks?
Yeah, we know his skill set is certainly that way. He's kind of the guy that when you get the ball out in space, everybody kind of stands up for a second to see what's about to happen because we know he's got that ability. And I think it is. It's kind of just one of those things. I think it'll happen for him at some point where he really gets that big explosive. Obviously, had a couple the other day where he was able to get on the edge and get the ball out in space. But that's just kind of you see his work every single day prepare him for these opportunities, and then he just keeps performing better and better. And that's as a unit, that's what we want to do as well.
After a fast start to the season, Christian Kirk's kind of slowed down. How do you get him re-involved in the offense?
Yeah, that was completely on us as a coaching staff. We got to be able to target him. He's one of our better guys, clearly. And as the game went, we weren't really able to force them out of cover 2. We didn't make them honor one thing well enough. We weren't good enough in the pass game, weren't efficient enough in the run game to kind of force them to play something different. So they were able to stay in what they wanted. We feel good about the things we had. We just didn't execute them to the best of our ability. So there's ways to incorporate him that we certainly need to do. He's a guy that needs to touch the football and have an impact on the game for us.
And this is the second week in a row that you're going against a defense that prefers to play like one single coverage. They may give you some different looks, but their bread and butter is cover 3 this week.
Right.
What's the challenges for an offense when a defense likes to throw that same coverage at you over and over?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we faced a lot early on in the season. We feel like a lot of zone coverage, a lot of eyes on the quarterback, a lot of guys dropping to spots. Now, whether they play spot drop or zone or match, however they play. And I think these guys, too, you've seen their growth from week 2 to week 5 of what they've done. They've kind of sprinkled in some new coverages or some variations of the coverages they play that they've done a good job of. So, it's certainly something you've got to be very disciplined as a pass game unit, particularly we know where they're going to be. They know, we have to know where we want to be and why we want to be there and the timing that it takes to get to those spots. And then, you just got to be able to execute at a high level. That's what they're trying to force you to do. They're playing their defense. They execute it very well, and you've got to execute your schemes really well to be able to have a chance.
In a new offense, is the red zone normally, the kind of part of the game that maybe takes the longest to come together, maybe the last little piece to come together?
I don't know if I'd say it's the last piece to come together, but it's certainly an aspect that there's a lot of timing, there's a lot of chemistry. The field just gets condensed. All the bodies end up in a little closer proximity. Things happen so fast, windows close fast. So it's certainly an aspect that we want to continue to improve on. We have not had the success that we need to have in that aspect of our offense. But that's something we just continue to work through.
I know it's kind of glass half full because of, the red zone, but is it still encouraging to see the success moving the ball, down the field, before the red zone period?
Certainly. I mean, we want to move the ball every single play, every single opportunity we get, but at the end of the day, you got to score points, and that's what we haven't been able to do the last couple of weeks, or the last 2 weeks, particularly in the red zone. So that's a big part of it. Those are big plays. Those are 4-point plays a lot of times, especially on third down in the red zone. And you can never turn the ball over, especially in the red zone. You're taking points away from your team right there.
What are the benefits of playing Indy just in, second time in 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the the benefits are you have a good feel for their personnel, their schemes, how they want to play. And then I think the fact that we had success in week 2, you hope the guys bring that confidence to it. But, until they change the rules and let us carry over 24 points into this game, it really has no bearing on this game right now. It's a whole new situation. A lot of times the game gets the second half of the game gets dictated by the first half of the game. Well, you start a new game, all that's out the window. So that has nothing to do with this. It's about execution. It's a game of execution. It's a play-to-play mentality right here. And especially if we're going to say that the league is week to week and we're going to flush the week before us, we can't go back and say, well, we did this in week 2. This is going to work again. You got to watch the tape. You got to understand how they've evolved in a new scheme as well, and where they're at now in week 6. And then everybody understanding our opponent. They've made some personnel adjustments as they've gone with people. They've had injuries up and down. They've made some changes in the back end with personnel. So it's on all of us to understand who they are and what they want to do at this point in the season.
Where have they grown? Because they turned around and beat Kansas City the week after. So where have you seen their defense sort of take off?
Yeah, they've done a great job stopping the run. And really, when you go back to our game, they did a great job, against us in the run game. We obviously broke off the one big run with James, but for the most part, it was tough sledding against these guys, and we understand that. And then in the back end, or just in the coverage elements of it, I think for them, it's just 3 more games, 4 more games, whatever it's been, 3 more games of them being able to execute their defense over and over and play coverages, match routes, see combinations that people are doing to attack them. Because that's, going back to one of the other questions, that's kind of when a team plays a certain coverage over and over and over, they have a good feel for how teams are trying to attack it, where everybody kind of feels the weak spots are. And so it's more and more time on task for those guys understanding the same issues. So it comes down to execution at the end of the day.
Evan Ingram the last 2 weeks, those big gains over the middle. Is that exactly what you guys kind of saw out of him when you brought him in?
Yeah, Evan's been a great contributor for our offense. Obviously, he kind of, he's had more of the receiving yards production the last 2 weeks, but even going back and watching this game, week 2, he had some huge third down conversions for us where he caught the ball underneath and was on a corner and broke tackles or ran away from a guy and made first downs that really kept drives alive. So he's been a huge contributor for us in the offense. The ball hasn't really gone his way until the last 2 weeks, and he's produced at the level we've expected of him.
I think Stephon Gilmore has looked a little bit more comfortable in their defense. When you're going up against a guy like that, a corner like that, Defensive Player of the Year, all the accolades, what do you have to look for game planning against him in that scheme?
Yeah, you're always kind of – he's a guy, we just call him impact players. We always want to know where the impact players are. And they've done a good job of moving him around. You don't know if he's always in the boundary, if he's always on your right, always on your left. So you can't just say we're going to call this play and we're going to throw it to this guy. You kind of have to adjust within the game once you get a feel for where he is, if it's consistent, if there's some rhythm to it. Otherwise, you're kind of just playing the game. But he's certainly somebody you're always aware of. He's got great ball skills. He's made the play kind of the last 2 weeks to seal the game for him in their victories against Kansas City. He had the pass breakup, and then they got intercepted. And then against Denver, he had the pass breakup, obviously, with the game on the line, as well as an interception down the red zone. So certainly a guy we are aware of, and we want to be mindful of where he is at all times.
How valuable is Tyler Shatley now that he's going to have to step into that starting guard role? I mean, you got a lot of work during the preseason, veteran guy, been there, kind of done it before kind of player.
Right, yeah, and Tyler brings a leadership aspect to that room. He has since the day we got here. He's kind of always been that consistent, just mature pro that's understood he was in a position battle, and he was willing to do whatever was best for the team. He stepped in at center. He's played right guard, left guard. He's a guy, as a coaching staff, we trust. He knows what's going on. He knows how the speed of the game goes. He works well with the people next to him, and so we expect production out of Tyler as well.
Just the efficiency of the running game, do you see that, getting closer to where you guys want to be and just, being just a little bit away?
Yeah, I like to think that. Yeah, I like to think that each aspect of our game just keeps getting better and better. But, within everything, it's always kind of a case-by-case basis. So there were times against these guys originally we were not as efficient in the run game early on, but also late. We understand late. We kind of get into a 4-minute mode. We're holding on to a 3-score lead. You may be running uphill a little bit in some of those situations. You're running the ball on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 from under center. Looks that you probably don't get to that may skew your numbers overall. But we certainly want to be very efficient as possible in the run game and understanding running into the right looks. It's hard to be efficient if you're running into heavy boxes or you're mis-ID'd, things like that. So we just want to make sure we're taking the next step as an offense in every single aspect of our game.
How do you help Trevor Lawrence develop in in-game scenarios? I mean, so far all the losses this year have been by one score. Haven't been able to execute in those drives when you've had the chance to go down and tie or win the ball game. How do you? It's tough to kind of duplicate those in practice
Sure.
because it's not the same
Yeah.
feeling, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to replicate the real emotion feeling of, all right, we're in a desperation mode here. You know, this is our last opportunity. And Coach has done a great job creating those situations throughout the week. That's something we've been doing since week one. That's something we emphasize through training camp and competitive periods with our defense as well. And then we just continue to present those situations to him. You know, we'll do meetings. There will be certain aspects or certain meetings during the week. We'll show him situations around the league. All right, what are you thinking here? Here's what we're thinking. And part of it kind of puts all of us in the situation, in the mindset of here's how so-and-so handled 1 minute left in this game, down 3 points. Here's how so-and-so. So learning from around the league and how things are going as a coaching staff, him hearing our vision, how we communicate, how we understand these situations and what we're thinking, and then also hearing his thoughts before we even go. What are you thinking right here? Well, we have 2 timeouts. You know, playing the situation together kind of as a group and talking it through, and so we all kind of get on the same page of that.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. That play. I mean, he's a rookie. Just what did you say when he got back to the sideline?
Really, I just met him on the field and asked him, like, you know, what happened, and told him that, you know, in that situation, that's unacceptable. He can't do it. And, you know, he's a competitor, great kid. I think he didn't hear the whistle, and, you know, he got his hand on the quarterback, and, you know, you can't throw him down. So, you know, we'll move on from that. He'll learn from it.
Mike, that said, is it confusing to the guys these days based on what's happening around the league as to what they can actually do to the quarterback in a given situation?
Well, you
How they
have.
can take 'em down, you know?
Yeah, well, you have the rules. You just have to abide by them, and they're not changing, but you just have to understand that in that situation, you can't throw them down. You can pull them down, horse collar them in the pocket, but there are certain ways where you have to land on a quarterback or try not to land on a quarterback, and we've gone over that. They understand it, and it's tough for a defensive player, but that's what we got to do, abide by the rules.
And I know you can't be in a position to criticizing referees, but it does appear, you say that there's rules, but the rules seem to be open to interpretation by different referees at different games. Everybody seems to have, some guys have their version, other guys have theirs.
Well, that's every rule, you know, depending on what side you're on. If it's your quarterback, yeah, you want him to, you know, have as much protection as possible. If you're going after the quarterback, you want to go get him. So it's interpretation by the referees, and it's a tough job that they have to do, but we have to understand what we can do, how we can help our team, is just teach them the rules, let them understand what they can and can't do, and go from there.
Has that been a conversation you had with the guys this week?
Oh, you always try to learn from other teams, and we talk about those situations and other situations that come up. So that's been talked about, but, you know, from day one, they understand the quarterback is protected in certain ways, and they have to understand that.
Caleb Vaughn being out for the next couple of weeks, does that mean maybe Arjun a little bit more at outside linebacker?
Well, we have a couple of guys that can fill that role. You know, Caleb Vaughn, it's going to be, you know, we hate to lose him, but he'll be back eventually. So we'll just have some guys step up and take that role, get opportunities to, you know, get out there and play a little more.
Is that why having guys who can play inside out is so important? Just whenever, you know, you need depth, they can kind of step in?
It's really just how this team is built. You have to have depth at certain positions, and, you know, injuries do happen, so you just have to have the next guy step up.
Where have you seen the Colts improve over the last 4 weeks of the season?
I think Taylor didn't play last week, so the run game, you can see they're still committed to the run game and getting their weapons back. It's just, and I think Matt is playing well in the fourth quarter when it's crunch time and they have to make plays. He's getting the ball out real quick, so they're evolving as a team, and, you know, it's a big challenge for us.
When you're going against a veteran quarterback like Matt Ryan, he's seen you now once this season. How important is it to make sure that you kind of give him some looks and not play it the exact same way as you did the first time?
It's really important, but they self-scout themselves, and we do the same thing. So you never want to go in with the same game plan. We have to be multiple in what we do, and we try to do that around here. So we'll try to create different looks. But just like you said, he's a veteran. He's seen it all. We just have to make sure we understand what we're doing, concentrate on us, and go out there and just play.
Over the last few games, you guys have been able to come up with that stop that the offense needs you guys to get them the ball back. Just what does it say about your defense to be able, when it's late in the game, legs are tired and all of that stuff, to still be able to perform in those moments?
I think it's a credit to the players that they condition themselves, but, you know, we've lost the last two. So we have to find a way to win. And whatever it is, we have to create another turnover or put an offense in good field position. But we're a team that's up and coming, and we're going to continue to get better. And, you know, next week, we're ready for this week, and we're just going to continue to build for it.
How much of a lift would it be for your D-line group if Foley can go this week?
It's big. Anytime you can have all your guys together, it's always big. And, you know, we had Corey stepped up last week, did a great job for us. But once you get Foley back and other guys, you know, it's just more pieces that you have out there, and it just makes us better.
What are you seeing from the Colts? I apologize if you've been asked this. What are you seeing from the Colts offensive line? Because it really seems like that unit has regressed quite significantly here this year for whatever reason.
Well, the thing you see on film is the holes are there. They're run blocking better. They're pass blocking better. It's just certain situations. They came back. They beat the Chiefs. Just different games where you see them out there performing. And I think Matt Ryan's doing a great job. He's the leader of that team, and I think he's doing a great job of willing those guys to victory.
Do you feel like this is an opportunity, though, for your defensive line and pass rush? I mean, Matt Ryan's the most sacked quarterback in the league. He's got the most pressures of anybody in the league, been hit more times than anybody in the league. Do you feel like this is an opportunity for your defensive line to really get after it?
I think that's one of the things that we try to do all the time is pressure the quarterback. But, again, he's a veteran quarterback. He's savvy. He understands when to get rid of the ball. So we just have to go out there and try to stay committed to what we truly believe in and go from there.
The turnovers have been flowing heavily to start the season. Last game was the first one without a turnover. I know you guys practice it a lot, but you put a little extra emphasis or conversation about it with the guys this week?
It's it's a focus of ours. Anytime you focus on something and it doesn't happen, you come back to work that Wednesday just like they did yesterday. They came back and they were focused on creating turnovers, and that's what you have to do. You know, they come in bunches. We didn't get one, and that's another thing. We got to continue to get better at turning the ball over and giving our offense another chances. So that's our mindset, and we're going to continue to work at it.
You're now 5 weeks into the season. How have you seen Devin Lloyd and Trayvon Walker grow in the meeting rooms and out there on the practice field?
I think it's starting to slow down for them, and everything's not new anymore. They can anticipate a little bit better, and those guys, they do a great job of studying and coming to work and listening to coaches and listening to other players. So that's helping in their growth, and, you know, I think Coach said it earlier this week, you know, we're 5 games into the season. There are no rookies anymore. You know, you've played a bunch, so they're starting to perform like vets.
That fourth down stop the two of them had against Houston, is that kind of glimpse of, you know, what you guys envisioned they can be together?
Well, you always look at the players and the talent that they have, and you just look at what they bring for this team every day. They come to work, they have the right attitude, they go out there, they work hard, and then it's shown on the field, and we hope that continues.
Darius Williams had a big play early in the game. For a guy who missed all of training camp, to see him in the lineup and able to do special things like that, just how's it feel as a coach?
It's always good to have someone, and that's a credit to him because he did miss some time. But, again, I think I said this before, he was real attentive in meetings, in walkthroughs. He was getting every mental rep, and I think that just shows what a professional he is, being able to not take the physical rep but take the mental rep, and now it's paying off for him.
What kind of receiver is Michael Pittman? They didn't have him the first go around. Looks like he's going to be healthy for this weekend.
He's a go-to guy. He's their guy. If they need one, he's the one they look to make a play. And for us, he's a bigger receiver, and he's a guy that, you know, we understand that they want to get him the ball. So we just have to make sure we have coverage around him, put people around him, and, you know, see how it goes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
NBA started.